I I I don't get it. I really don't understand it with this company, bro. I don't. Following what was one of the best pay-per-views of the year, following what was a really good SummerSlam, WWE should be riding high on momentum. They should be viewing with confidence from ear to ear. Even with a SummerSlam that had a terrible build, WWE should be coming into Monday Night Raw tonight feeling good about themselves, feeling positive, and building on what was actually a really good pay-per-view last night. We can bitch, we can moan, I can sit here and complain all I want about how bad Monday Night Raw actually was, which we will do, but it just baffles me. You know, we're going to complain. Sasha Banks tapping out to Asuka for the second straight night, which makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to try not to give a second rant of the century like I did last night. But hey, Alistair Black turning heel? Why? A arm wrestling contest between Apollo Crews and Bobby Lashley. So we're building the United States Championship match for Payback, which is 6 days away. Not only was this a fallout show for SummerSlam, this was also a go-home show. Very rarely do we ever get two go-home shows back-to-back weeks. But yes, we have a pay-per-view this Sunday, y'all. We just got done with SummerSlam, the second biggest show of the year. But now we have to turn our attentions to Payback just this weekend. And yet you're building the United States Championship over a arm wrestling contest. Great. Retribution returned tonight. They didn't make an appearance on SummerSlam. We haven't seen them basically in the last week almost. And honestly, I don't care. I have very little interest in Retribution, anything they do at this point. Here we are, over a month since they debuted. We have no idea what they want, why they're here. We have no idea who the members are. It seems like they're just booking this week to week like they do with everything else on their show. And it's absolutely awful. And Keith Lee, the Limitless One, was just the NXT champion on Saturday. And I was hyped. I said on the NXT TakeOver review. I said on the SummerSlam review last night, depending on when you guys are listening to this. I said I was very excited for Keith Lee's debut. They can't fuck him up, right? You can't fuck up somebody as great as Keith Lee. And what do they do? The first night, not even 30 seconds into his main roster run, WWE and Vince, this is definitely Vince, they're already changing parts of what made Keith Lee's character so great. They changed his theme song, if you guys didn't notice. His intro is still the same, but they changed his theme song back to the one he had when he first debuted in NXT a couple years ago. And it's absolutely terrible. Terrible. Why did he need a change? You had not only Keith Lee change his theme song, you had him shave his beard. He's wrestling. He used to wrestle shirtless down in NXT. Now he's wrestling in a vest. I know Vince loves big man. And I do expect Keith Lee to be special on the main roster. But man, it's like they've already fucked him up. It already feels like they fucked Keith Lee up. And they're already taking away elements from his character that made him special, and part of the reason why we loved him so much. But those are just the little things coming to my mind as we start the podcast here tonight. It doesn't make any sense. Any sense whatsoever. What the hell? Does it say we're live? I don't know. I'm looking back in the chat right now, and you guys are telling me something happened with the live. I've been going on a rant for the last 5 minutes. And you guys are telling me something happened with the live. I've been going on. Oh, okay. Oh, no, I think we're all good. I think we're all good. You guys can hear me, right? You guys can hear me. We are all good. Hopefully, I'll edit this out after the stream is over. But my apology. I don't know what happened here. I was just looking at OBS. I wasn't looking at YouTube. But yeah, coming out of SummerSlam, man, makes no sense. I just don't get it. I don't want to get angry. If you guys saw the SummerSlam review, probably the longest podcast I've ever done. We went close to 2 hours. You guys showed a lot of support, and I went off. I went off, especially on Sasha Banks and Asuka, and why I did not like the outcome of the match. I bitched and I complained. I said, yes, the bigger story is Sasha and Bayley and us finally getting the Sasha and Bayley feud. And this will probably end up with Sasha becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion. But at the end of the day, what was the point of making Sasha the Raw Women's Champion if you were just going to have her lose at SummerSlam without getting any successful defenses in and holding another championship less than 30 days? And on top of that, what makes it worse is you did the rematch. First of all, I didn't even want a rematch. Usually, I don't mind rematches if they make sense, but I didn't want a rematch at this point. And I love Sasha Banks and Asuka; they're two of the best in the world. But it made zero sense. Sasha lost clean last night. She tapped out. That's it. Feud's over. Asuka's gonna move on to Shayna Baszler or whoever else you have planned for her. But instead, you try to do a rematch tonight, and I'm thinking, okay, they're going to use this to further the split between Sasha and Bayley. But instead, you did something awful. You had Sasha tap out clean for a second straight night. And I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck, bro? I'm like, are we serious? Like, are we actually serious? This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Oh my gosh. Guys, man. Raw tonight was terrible. It's honestly there's honestly I don't know what you guys want me to say. How can I just don't get it, bro? You have a good pay-per-view. All you have to do is build on top of what happened last night. That's all you have to do. Build on top of what last night. Set up your payback card. Make sense. Be creative, and that's it. That's it. How many people tuned into Monday Night Raw tonight after hearing how good SummerSlam was, and then they tuned in and saw the nonsense they were getting, and they were like, "Oh, I'm not watching this. It's so bad." And then what? They may get an increase in the ratings just because probably more people watched in the first hour than any other point in the show. But we all know everyone clicked off of Monday Night Raw once they hit that second hour. And it makes everything they did with the good SummerSlam pay-per-view worthless. It's just that simple. I'm gonna try not to get my blood pressure up. I'm gonna try not to get as angry. But I don't know. We're gonna go through the show. I don't know. We're gonna go through the show tonight. We're gonna review it like we always do. If you guys can't tell, man, I'm a little bit tired. You know, after the 2-hour podcast last night, and then the NXT TakeOver 30 review on Saturday, and then the preview predictions at SmackDown on Friday. It's been a long weekend, but we're going to keep it going. Thank you guys for joining me right here on the Legit Shoot podcast. I hope you guys are doing well, staying safe and healthy. Like I said, thank you guys for all the love and support you guys have been giving us, all the new subscribers, these super chats. It has been absolutely ridiculous. It's been ridiculous, all the growth, man, and I really appreciate it. And we're gonna keep it going, even though I'm a little bit tired. But definitely, I'm gonna give you guys what you guys want. Gonna give you guys the podcast you guys deserve, and we're gonna keep it rolling right here on the channel. So if you guys are new and you guys like what you guys hear, make sure to subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it. All right, thank you to everyone that's been following me on social media, live tweeting with me. You guys are the best. But okay, let's get into Monday Night Raw tonight. Enough of me talking, or you guys get it. What I'm trying to say. I already drank through like half my water, and we haven't even started the show. Anyway, a lot happened, or there was a lot of angles. Let's just say that there was a lot of angles on tonight's show. So I'm hoping not to go too long, but I could definitely see us going an hour and a half, man. Because, oof. But anyway, show started off with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, you guys seen they give him a new entrance. I kind of like it. He has all the pyro. He has those new graphics, and he deserves it. He's the WWE champion. He should be getting that flashy spotlight. Reason why I say this is because there were some people complaining on social media. Why are they making changes to Drew McIntyre's entrance? It was fine. Honestly, I have no problem with the way Drew McIntyre's entrance is. Excuse me. But Drew McIntyre came out, and we talked about this on the podcast last night. McIntyre is super high confidently. He defeated Randy Orton, even though it was via Black's backslide. And the only reason why they did that finish is because they wanted to make both men continue to look strong, just to continue the feud. If they had Orton look clean, that squashes all the momentum he's gained this year. And if Drew lost clean, he loses the WWE champion. And they wanted Drew to get that big moment, not being able to have fans at WrestleMania for what was supposed to be his coronation at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar. So that it makes sense. And looking back at it, especially with what happened with Roman Reigns, which we'll talk about in just a couple minutes, it made sense why they went that direction. McIntyre came out. He was still really amped up, super amplified. He basically told the crowd there in the WWE Thunderdome, and I'll say this again. I said this on Summerslam. I like WWE Thunderdome. I like the concept. It's unique, and it makes the show look a lot better. My problem with WWE Thunderdome is the audio. The audio is awful. Like legit, somebody said on Twitter that it sounds like you're watching a soccer game. Because usually in a soccer game, the crowd's making noise, but they're not making a ton of noise. Because soccer is a slow paced game. Unless, when they're having goals and things of that nature. And that's what it felt. It sounded like WWE had this like loop audio in there when, like it's like the crowd, they're just talking. It's just the volume of the crowd. They're not cheering, they're not booing, but you could tell there's a crowd in there. And it was on loop for about 80% of the show. And it got really annoying to a point. So, like I said, I like WWE Thunderdome, but if you're going to keep going with it, you got to find some ways. I don't know how, but you got to find some way to improve the audio. I don't know if you get the NXT talent back in there and have them sit in the crowd just to help with, the Thunderdome atmosphere. I don't know, but you got to find something because you can't rely on looped audio because it gets annoying and it gets repetitive and it looks bad, especially after a while, especially through 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. It gets really bad. So, but anyway, Drew McIntyre, he was telling the crowd in the Thunderdome, show me a thumbs up. You could tell Drew was really enjoying this. He was really enjoying having that fan interaction, which he deserves. I see what is it? Trub Actor 16. I see you in the chat, bro. Are you a new subscriber? I love when we have new subscribers showing up in the streams. So let me know. But anyway, McIntyre attributed his win over the Viper to being hungrier and more driven than Orton. Drew's really cut some really good promos over the last couple weeks. I think Drew's really underrated on the mic. But Drew, man, I love the passion here. He talked about how he wanted to be a WWE champion that represented the WWE universe, and how Orton only wanted to be a champion that represented himself. So clearly, babyface heel mentality here with those lines from McIntyre. He said that he understood what it was like to experience hard times, but not Orton, because Orton was so coddled and protected and had everything spoon-fed to him over his career and his life. Like I said, I really like this promo. Then Drew wondered after Orton spent so much time bragging about him being the best wrestler in the world, what makes him the best wrestler in the world now that he got beat by a backslide by a wrestling maneuver. Excuse me, like he didn't lose to a claymore kick or anything like that. He lost to a simple backslide pin. So Drew was like, if you're the greatest wrestler in the world and you got beat like that, what the hell does that make bloody Drew McIntyre? So I like that as well. And Drew also said he was wondering who was going to be his next challenge. What was going to be next for the WWE champion? And Drew said if Orton wanted to step up for another battle with him, and he would be all for it because he did not get to do what he promised he would do at SummerSlam and send Orton to Claymore County. So I like that. I like that because I said in the review, yes, Drew did. He did what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to walk out the same way he walked in as WWE champion. But after what Randy did to Edge and Christian and Ric Flair and Big Show and Shawn Michaels, Drew promised to get payback for all those men. And yes, he won the match, but he wasn't able to get that sweet, sweet revenge by hitting Orton in the head. Damn, we got damn flies or whatever. Like, come on, bro. Stop it. You got flies flying around here like they're freaking Roman Reigns fans. Roman Reigns fans have been annoying on social media the last 24 hours. Anyway, Truebacker 16. I'm just saying, did you see me last night? That's when I subbed. Bro, this is the first time I'm seeing you, man. But welcome to the Fitz Army. Welcome to the podcast, bro. Definitely, I am happy that you are on board. I love seeing new people in the chat. Love seeing new people in the streams. Thank you guys so much. Let's continue getting new viewers in here every single week. Anyway, uh, but basically, Drew said he wanted another match with Randy so he could get that sweet revenge. So I like that. I really did like that because now Drew, he wants to put the nail in the coffin. You know, he wants to take Orton out for good, get that sweet payback, like I was just saying. So afterwards, McIntyre exited the ring. He went back up the ramp, celebrated with the fans, but right before he exited the arena, he got attacked from behind by Randy Orton. The two brawled. McIntyre sent Orton into the LED screen. Then they started brawling into the backstage area, into the production area. And then Orton hit not one, but two devastating punt kicks. Crazy. In front of the producers, the referees, you could kind of see just for a split second. You could see our boy Vince in the corner, man, trying to hide. Every time they do those types of segments, they always have the cameraman hiding or try to hide, the authority figures. But man, those two punches by Orchard were pretty devastating, and it's like I could hear them at home. And McIntyre did an amazing job of selling it too. After McIntyre took the second kick, fell onto the floor, and it looked like he was legit out of it. Great job there. The producers, referees tried to help McIntyre up, and then when we came back from commercial, Tom Phillips and company were hyping up how McIntyre was able to get up from not one but two punt kicks from Orton, which would come into play a little bit later in the show. So I did like this. This was pretty cool. And I got to give WWE credit here for that. It's actually giving us, a story here with Orton and McIntyre, continuing it. Instead of having Orton just come out do like a simple RKO like he did weeks ago, no, you have Orton actually punting McIntyre, and it goes with McIntyre's character. Remember, McIntyre won the WWE Championship. How many F5s did he take from Lesnar? Like, it was like 3 or 4. And then, he started off by only kicking up at 1. Then he kicked out at 2. So it goes with McIntyre's character, saying that he can handle a lot. It takes a lot of punishment to beat him. So I like that. Like that a lot here. Clearly, this was only one of the only positives on this Nitrosis show. But one other thing we gotta mention, and we'll probably talk about this a lot more later on this week. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet because I already have like 2 or 3 videos scheduled for the rest of the week. Basically I have a video scheduled for every single day this week. So like Tuesday I have a video scheduled, Wednesday I have a video scheduled. Thursday, I think I have another video scheduled, and then Friday, I think I have the SmackDown review, but I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. If you guys are in the chat, let me know right now. Hit a like on the video, hit a like on the podcast if you guys want me to do this. If you guys want me to do Payback preview and predictions, I usually only do them for big shows, but I don't know. It's going to depend on when I have time this week. But if you guys want me to do Payback preview and predictions, I definitely will. We still don't even know the full card, but if you guys want that, you guys know I'm always here to deliver. I swear, there's damn mosquitoes running all over the place, bro. Like, stay down, Roman fans. Stay down. Chewbacca says, was it bad that I was shaking when I saw that Randy versus Drew match? What do you mean by shaking, bro? I don't know what you mean by that. Anyway. Moving. Well, it was announced tonight, and like I said, we're going to talk about this more on SmackDown later in the week. We will be getting a triple threat, and who called it? Who called it on the podcast last night? This man. All right, Roman Reigns made his return last night. Some people are calling it a heel turn. Based on what I read, this is just Vince wanting Roman to show more aggressiveness with his character, which I think is great. I've been saying for years Roman needs to be more aggressive. Enough of the whole smiling bullshit. We want to see an aggressive Roman. He didn't smile at all. It was a great attack by Roman last night, and hopefully it leads to a full-fledged heel turn. I can get behind that. We've been all saying. I'm not gonna say just me. We've all been saying for 5 years now that Roman needs to be heel, and this will be a perfect time to do it. So WWE, you have a golden opportunity on your shoulders, man. But it was announced that this Friday we'll be getting a triple threat contract signing for Payback, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and The Fiend for the Universal title. And I said this is the direction they need to go with, because if they do Roman versus The Fiend right out the gate, The Fiend's already hanging on by threads right now with his character. So I didn't mind this at all. What I think is gonna happen, the Fiend's gonna get taken out of the match some way by Strowman and Roman, and then what's gonna happen? Roman's gonna pin Strowman, and that's how Roman's gonna become Universal Champion, and then the Fiend and Roman will feud into the fall, and those two do have history, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. True Brocker says, I was really stressed and nervous during the Drew and Randy match. No, that's okay. That's what being a wrestling fan's all about, bro. That's me during every single Sasha match. So I definitely see where you're coming from. Speaking of Sasha, you guys saw last night I gave the rant of the century. All right. And I'm gonna try not to rant as much tonight. We're gonna rip the show and bitch and complain like we always do. Like, come on, it's me. You guys know who I am. But still, man, I almost lost my voice last night. That was like a 30-minute rant. I went back and watched it. It was like 30 or 40 minutes we spent ranting about the Sasha Banks decision last night. But basically what happens here, Shayna Baszler versus Bayley, and it was already announced earlier in the night that we would be getting Sasha Banks versus Asuka in a Raw Women's Championship rematch, which I was so against. It made no sense in my eyes why we were getting that match. I hated it. But still, I was like, okay, maybe they're gonna give us some more tension between Sasha Banks and Bayley, because we know eventually at the end of this, Sasha's gonna be turning babyface. But it was announced that we were gonna be getting Shayna Baszler versus Bayley in a one-on-one action. And you guys remember last week, Shayna did make Bayley tap out in that tag team match she had with Asuka when they went up against Sasha Banks and Bayley. And before the match tonight, we saw Nia Jax, or Nia Fag, or Nia Trash, whatever you want to call her. Nia Jax made her return tonight. She announced that she had been reinstated, and all she had to do was apologize to Pat Buck. So there was that. That was great while it lasted. Not having to do with Nia Jax, but terrible. Anyway, this is terrible, man. I don't get this at all. So we see Shayna and Nia, and they would have multiple confrontations during the night. So Shayna and Nia they're talking backstage, and basically they're calling each other names. It's just whatever. And basically it led to them just saying, "I'll see you around. I'll see you around." So clearly these two don't. They still don't like each other, but for some reason, WWE's pairing them together as a tag team. More on that a little bit later in the podcast. But basically, at first when Sasha's music played, I was like, "Are we getting the Sasha and Asuka match now?" Like they usually always do Sasha's matches in the late second, third hour, but clearly Sasha came out, and you could tell this is one of the reasons why I always say Sasha's the best female wrestler in the world. The body language on Sasha, you could tell. You could tell she was not there. She was not happy. She had not gotten over what the hell had happened at SummerSlam the night before, and I loved it. Her body language, damn mosquito. Her body language. Bailey came out, and you could tell Bailey was despondent as well. And you could tell for a couple seconds. They looked united. They did their normal entrance, but you could tell there was some underlying tension at the surface level with Sasha and Bailey, which would come into play throughout tonight's show, which I did like. Great body language being showed here by Sasha. So Shayna came out, and before the match could even begin, Nia came out, and I'm just like, what? I didn't care really too much because this is a Bailey match, but basically Baszler and Bailey went at it. Baszler was, she had the upper advantage here, but Sasha caused a distraction that would let Bailey seize control of the match. The match didn't last long. Nia Jax eventually got involved, and she went after Baszler, causing a disqualification. Okay, whatever. Don't really care too much because this match didn't mean anything in the long run. But either way, Nia Jax dropped Baszler with a hard right hand, and then all of a sudden, Sasha and Bailey, being the great heels that they are, they looked at Baszler and Nia in the ring, and they started laughing. But all of a sudden, Nia saw that Sasha and Bailey were laughing, and instead, Shayna got up, and all of a sudden, Shayna and Nia go after Sasha and Bailey. I'm just seeing like, what the fuck? Why? And then we come back from commercial, and then Shayna and Nia are backstage, and they're basically like, oh, let's team up and go up against Sasha and Bailey at Payback. So for weeks now, they've been advertising, Sasha and Bailey having to defend the women's tag team titles at Payback. And I've been saying for weeks it's either going to be the Iconics, which I don't want to see, or Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. That would make the most sense, And I originally pitched that Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan should take the titles off of Sasha Banks and Bailey as long as Sasha and Bailey remain singles champions. Well, clearly that's not happening. WWE's fucking things up with this situation. So all of a sudden now Shayna and Nia are a team. So basically, Shayna didn't even say she wanted the titles. All right, Nia asked Shayna to team up with her. So Nia's like, I want those tag team championships, and then Shayna's like, all right, if I helped you with this, then you stay off my back and leave me alone. And then they're like, fine. So there you have it. Shayna and Nia going up against Sasha and Bailey at Payback. Does anybody in this fucking creative, does anybody understand how illogical that is? First off, Shayna Baszler should never be in a tag team with anybody, unless maybe Ronda Rousey, because of the whole MMA woman background. That's the only one that would ever make any sense in my eyes. Shayna should never be in a tag team with nobody. And then, first of all, you throw in Shayna and Nia as this, made together, right? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like you don't even have a tag team division. What's the point of Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan? What's the point of the Iconics? What the hell is the point of Asuka and Kairi Sane when they were together? What's the point of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross? What's the point of having teams if this is what you're going to do? Like, what? They didn't even beat Sasha and Bailey. They have legit no claims towards the tag team titles. No claim whatsoever. They've done nothing to deserve an opportunity. And then the fact that the reason why Shayna is down to team with Nia is because just so Nia could leave her alone. So Shayna doesn't even, you're telling me that Shayna just doesn't care about the tag titles. She just cares about, going after Asuka and eventually becoming Raw Women's Champion. Okay, fine. But what's the point of having the match then? Shit, is Shayna gonna beat Sasha and Bailey on Sunday and just let Nia be the tag team champions all on her own? Like, does anybody use their fucking minds, their fucking brains when it comes to this nonsense? It makes no sense. It, it it's so bad, bro. It's so bad. The illogical booking. Illogical booking. So Sasha Bailey, everything they've done to elevate the tag to division, everything they've done to try to make things better, and this is what you have for them. You have them go up against a team that's not even a team. Nia and Shane have never had any tag team matches together in their life, but yet they're getting a tag team championship match at Payback. Yeah, makes so much sense. So much sense. Shayna doesn't care about the tag titles at all, but yet this is what we're doing. And wasn't Shayna this last week who said she was going after Asuka, but now she's going after tag titles? Like, really? Like, who books this shit? Who books this shit? So all I have to do to get a tag team championship match in WWE is find a friend of mine, go find the champions, and just stare them down. That's how we're booking tag team championship matches now in WWE. Makes sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. There's reasons why tag team wrestling is so bad in WWE these days. Absolutely atrocious. This was terrible. This was terrible, bro. Hated that. Hated that. Anyway, we'll have more on Sasha and Bailey a little bit later on the show. All right, moving on. We had Alistair Black join Kevin Owens on the KO show. So before the segment, KO went backstage looking for Alistair Black. He found him in a dark room. It goes with Black's gimmick, and basically then we had the KO shirt. I like KO's new red shirt. You guys know red's my favorite color, so maybe I might have to get that soon. But still, anyway, KO's sitting in the ring. Alistair Black returns to Raw. He's wearing a nice black suit, and he has a black eye patch, kind of similar to Rey Mysterio, because you guys remember Seth and Dominic took out Alistair Black about a month ago when they forced his eye through the steel ring steps. And then Black ordered the footage of the attack at the hands of Murphy and Seth be played on the screen. KO didn't want to do it. KO was very reluctant to do it at first, but Black demanded that he did it. It said it's nothing that he hasn't already seen 5 million times. So they put it on. Owens tried to reason with him. He tried to apologize for what happened to him and, tell him that things are going to be all right, especially based off his own experiences with Steph. And out of nowhere, KO, got up because Black, he fell down to the ground because you could see his eye was still bothering him. He didn't really know where he was. Out of nowhere, KO comes up to him. It says, "Oh, Black, are you okay?" And Black hits him with a devastating. I'll say this: KO did an amazing job of selling it, but Black hit KO with a huge black mass, knocked him out. KO did a brilliant job of selling it, and it seems now that Alistair Black is a heel. And at first, I got a little excited because I was like, all right, maybe this could mean bigger and better things for Alistair Black. He deserves it. He has been on the main roster now for a year and a half since he made his debut last year and at early 2019 with Ricochet. And he's been completely buried. He's been misutilized, not used, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Alistair Black. A couple months ago, I'm sitting here saying Alistair Black should have won Money in the Bank. They didn't go down that direction. A lot of people are saying Alistair Black should have won the Royal Rumble. They didn't go down that direction. And now here we are. Here we are, and now Black is forced to turn heel. I'm hyped a little bit just to see where he goes, but still, Black should have been, at this point, one of the top babyfaces in the company, in the main roster scene, fighting for WWE and Universal titles. Not with this garbage you have in right now. Yes, Black and KO, that has a chance to be an amazing feud. These two are incredible. Two of the best in the world. My light on top of my camera is bothering my eyes. But here you have two of the best in the world. And yes, they can put on some great matches together, and this would be really good for Alistair Black. But the fact that they dropped the ball this much with Black, to the point where Vince feels like they had to turn him heel out of pure desperation. It's just absolutely embarrassing. Alistair Black doesn't have to blame himself for the way he was booked. It's WWE and Vince. Vince should be absolutely ashamed of himself for the way he booked Black. Ridiculous, bro. And like I said, I want to be excited for Black as a heel. This increased intensity. Hopefully it leads to something. But it probably won't. It probably won't. 2 or 3 months from now, Black will be right back doing nothing, not being booked in catering. And then right again, they'll probably turn him right back to a babyface because they'll realize, oh, Black as a heel, it's not going to work out. Terrible, bro. Like I said, the KO and Black feud could be great, but terrible, bro. I'm not agreeing with this at all. At all. Moving on. I'm not even going to talk about this. We had a fatal 4-way for the 24/7 title, and Akira Tozawa pinned R-Truth. Don't care. They said R-Truth is a 38-time 24/7 champion. Who the fuck cares? I'll wait. Anybody care that R-Truth is a 38-time 24/7 champion? And Akira Tozawa became a 4-time 24/7 champion tonight? No. Because it's a prop title. WWE should be ashamed of themselves, man. Ugh. Shamed. Moving on. And Dave McDonald says, I do. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. None of you guys in the chat, all right, are happy that R-Truth is a 38-time 24/7 champion. Don't do that. You guys are trolling right now. I know you guys want to be funny and everything, but come on. Let's be serious here. 24/7 title is a joke. It's a joke. All right? It's a joke. Huh. All right, next up, we have Randy Orton. He came out and he cut a brilliant promo. He wanted to, explain his actions and why he punted Drew in the face. And Kevin Abreu, you came into the chat at the right time, my brother. Right time. We're just about to talk about our boy Keith Lee. Anyway, Randy Orton comes out and he cut a brilliant promo explaining why he attacked Drew. He talked about how he's the legend killer and how he made a promise to the people that he would become WWE champion again, being that heel. And he talked about how he took out Orton, Christian, Big Show, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, and how he is a man of his word and how he will not stop until he once again becomes WWE champion. He also said the reason why he gave 2 kicks instead of 1 to Drew McIntyre was because Drew disrespected him. Because Drew came out and made the challenge to Randy Orton. And he said, I didn't remember. Drew said, I didn't get to finish what I started at SummerSlam. I didn't get to hit Randy Orton with the Claymore kick. So if Orton wants another match, he knows where to find me. Orton took that as disrespectful, which I see his logic, especially him being the heel. And Orton, man, got very passionate and said, who the hell do you think you are? All right? You're giving me a title rematch out of pity? And I absolutely loved it. I love the story here with Orton. The only thing I didn't like is basically WWE rushing this Orton and McIntyre rematch for Payback. I feel like they should save, because I feel like most likely Orton's going to win the title at Clash of Champions, and then we get the rubber match at Hell in a Cell. All right, I think potentially Orton versus McIntyre will be a Hell in a Cell match. We may see one between The Fiend and Roman, and I think we could see another one between Sasha and Bayley if the Sasha and Bayley feud has started at that point. But at the end of the day, man, a great promo by Randy Orton. As Randy continued to go on, Keith Lee's music started playing. Jose Romero, I'm doing good, bro. How are you? Thank you to everybody in the chat. Like I said, as always, guys, make sure to hit a like on the video if you guys are enjoying so far. It helps me up a lot. So if you guys are enjoying the podcast so far, hit a like. Subscribe if you guys are new. Anyway, as Orton was going on, All of a sudden, we hear one of my favorite lines in all of WWE. Oh, bask in his glory, for he is limitless. Oh, bask in his glory. I love Keith Lee. Loved it. But all of a sudden, something fell off. I was waiting for his normal, trap music to start playing, the trap beat. But all of a sudden, I hear some generic bullshit, something that would sound like Bobby Lashley's theme song from back in the day. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? And then I recognized it. I was like, wait a minute. This is Keith Lee's old theme. The theme he had back when he was not being used in NXT. And I got extremely pissed. Because first off, Keith Lee comes out. You changed his theme song back to an old one for no reason. You have him shave his beard. I love the beard Keith Lee had. You have him shave, making him look like he just graduated from middle school. And then Keith Lee tonight, he was wrestling in a vest. He was wrestling in a zipper vest. Usually Keith Lee wrestles shirtless. So those three things I mentioned or I noticed. The big thing was clearly the theme music, because it's one of the best things about Keith Lee. Oh, bask in his glory, for he is limitless. I love it. But why would you change his theme song? Why change it? Why would you change something that's not broken? I don't get it. I don't. Keith Lee is amazing. And Steve Dogg is one of the best things of his character and his personality. And you change it to that generic bullcrap for what? I hate when Vince does this. Anytime he gets a talent from NXT, he finds a reason to change it. When Bobby Roode first came up from NXT, he was a babyface. And we all know Bobby Roode is a way better heel than babyface. Remember when Vince turned Bobby Roode babyface just because of his theme song? Because people sang it at the arenas? Like, what? I'm like, huh? The Viking Raiders come out. And we all saw how every week the Viking Raiders had a new name. The Viking Experience. The Viking Raiders. I think they were called just Vikings at some point. The War Raiders. Absolutely ridiculous. Why does Vince feel the need to change things up about NXT talent once he gets their hands on him? It's really bad. Really bad. And I hate it. Please, I'm begging you, Vince, give Keith Lee back his old theme song. Like you don't understand what you have with Keith Lee. This guy can legit be the next face of the company. He has all the qualities. Everything to be a top babyface. I'm begging you, WWE, do not waste it. Do not fuck up Keith Lee. Don't. He is way too talented for you guys to mess. Way too talented. But, man, Keith Lee came out, confronted Randy Orton, and you guys know Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre, they are good friends. So, I like this interaction. I really did. Randy Orton, one of my favorites of all time. Keith Lee, one of my favorite superstars today. So, definitely. Keith Lee came out, introduced himself, and I love the way Keith Lee carries himself on the microphone. And Keith Lee's like, it seems that you and I have not been properly introduced. I am Keith Lee, the limitless one. Legend Killer, meet Mr. Limitless. I loved it. And Lee then said, with all due respect to his friend McIntyre, he challenged Orton to a match right here, right now. And Orton, being the great heel, he took off his vest, looked like he was about to take the match. He was like, you want to fight me right here, right now? And then he's like, maybe later. Maybe. And then, we did get more with Keith Lee, Orton, and McIntyre a little bit later on in the show. But I was like, can we get Keith Lee a legit match, like a 20-minute match. Let this guy show what the hell he can do. Why he's called Mr. Limitless. Why he's so fantastic. Like you could tell WWE with their propaganda bullshit. Always coming into play with this nonsense. But, it was a good segment. I didn't mind it, but I'm begging WWE. Change his theme song back to normal. If you know what is good for y'all, please. This damn mosquito flying on my desk. Jeez Louise. Anyway, we had Angel Garza versus Montez Ford. Garza was backstage flirting with what's her name? I think her name is Demi Burnett from The Bachelorette. Terrible. It's like I said this the last couple of weeks. WWE really hired somebody from The Bachelorette just to sit there and flirt with guys like Ivar, Angelo Dawkins, and Angel Garza. It's really sad. It's really sad that WWE thinks that's what's gonna bring ratings to the show. Terrible stuff. But basically, this led to a match. And so they have Zelina Vega still denying that she poisoned Montez Ford's solo cup. So I don't know what's the deal there. Because we have the evidence, we've seen the video. But still, Zelina, even though as great as Zelina is as a heel, she's still denying it. And I'm getting a little tired of it. Really am. I don't know what the hell they're going with. I don't care about this feud anymore. The tag team division has never been as bad as it is right now on all three brands throughout the entire company. It's terrible. Terrible. The Street Profits have nobody else to face right now. So what do? We're going to put the Raw Tag Team Championships in singles action again. Nice. So Garza came out. Then Ford did as well. I do kind of like how the Street Profits have like the red solo cups falling during their entrances. That's pretty cool. But Ivar came down to the ring, distracting Garza. He gave a turkey leg with Burnett, and Burnett left with Ivar to be with Ivar for Raw Underground later on in the evening. This distraction was all it needed by Ford. Ford took advantage with a stiff kick. Then he fought Garza off the top rope and delivered a frog splash for the win. I will say this, one of the only good things Tom Phillips is good for is when he says, "From the heavens." Love Ford's frog splash. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But like I said, I don't know where the hell they're going with this. It's garbage. It really is garbage. The fact that they have nobody in that division to face the Street Profits. So we're just going to get another match probably between the Street Profits and Garza and Ford. Even though Garza and Andrade. And it makes no sense. They lost clean last night. They lost clean 3 weeks ago when this whole nonsense started. And they lost tonight in singles action. There's no reason why the Street Profits should get another match with Garza and Andrade. No reason why Garza and Andrade deserve another match. Makes no sense. Terrible booking, terrible writing. Hate what WWE does this garbage, bro. Moving on, we had Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega and the Iconics. I didn't care much about this match anyway. I'm just happy that, Bianca, Ruby Riott, and Liv Morgan are getting TV time. Hopefully, WWE continues to build them up because these are future stars and champions in the women's division. They deserve the world, especially Bianca. Deserves everything. The match wasn't good. I like Zelina Vega. I don't really like the Iconics, but the match, was not good at all. Basically, the heels dominated for the most part, and they isolated Riott until, Bianca got tagged in with a hot tag. Bianca using that aggressiveness and athleticism against Vega. Basically, we saw Morgan and Riott wipe out Billie Kay and Peyton Royce with step of insecurities, and then Bianca finished off Vega with the KOD, which Vega did a good job of selling it. The match wasn't good at all. I didn't care about the match, but I'm happy Bianca and company get the win. And like I said, you need to be building up I would build up Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott to take the tag team titles off of Sasha Banks and Bailey. Hopefully they don't give them to Shayna and Nia. That would be an absolutely awful decision. But I would be putting up, the Riot Squad to take those tag team titles from Sasha and Bailey. And Bianca, you need to spend the rest of the year building her up, because if Sasha doesn't win the Royal Rumble, Bianca needs to do it. It needs to be one of those two women winning the Royal Rumble. And I don't care what anybody says. That's just undisputed in my opinion. Absolutely undisputed. Don't play games. Oh man. Lakers destroyed the Blazers by 20. Oh man, damn it. I was really hoping Dame would come up clutch and at least make this a series, but it looks like the Lakers are going to be going on to the second round in 5. Ah, man. That sucks. Anyway, like I said, you need to be building up Bianca Belair, because I think Bianca Belair should be winning the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania next year. Don't play me. Don't add me. Don't mention me. No, don't play with me on that. Next up, we had an arm wrestling contest between Apollo Crews and Bobby Lashley. This was terrible. You had Mark Henry, and I think this was the first thing that was advertised for this show today, which is disgraceful. All right, Apollo continues his feud with the Hurt Business. Took care of MVP on the pre-show of Summerslam last night. And it was already announced that, earlier today, that we would be getting Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews for the United States Championship at Payback. I like the match. I've been saying we need to get that match. My complaint is, why didn't we get the match at SummerSlam? Apollo and MVP, their matches were nothing to talk about. Those matches were not even good. They were just average. We know Apollo and Lashley, they can go on and put on a really good match given the time and given the story. So I'm just sitting here like, why? Why? Why didn't they do Apollo and Lashley at SummerSlam? It would have made perfect sense if they did. But that they're doing the match at Payback, whatever. The match doesn't really need much of a build. The story tells itself with Apollo versus the Hurt Business. But instead of doing something, more creative, what WWE decides to do, they bring in Mark Henry, and they decide to do an arm wrestling contest. An arm wrestling contest. You decide to do an arm wrestling contest on the go home show for Payback to hype up a WWE Payback pay-per-view. Nice. Makes sense, right? Arm wrestling contest, that's going to get people hype. That's how you follow SummerSlam. Nice. It's sad. It's sad that this company doesn't understand how to build title matches anymore. Vince is that out of touch. Mark Henry was sat in the middle of the ring. He introduced Bobby Lashley and Apollo. And I forgot to mention that before the arm wrestling contest, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander were having an arm wrestling contest of their own backstage. And then MVP, came over and, tried pressuring Alexander, try to get him to join the Hurt Business. Once again, he's been doing this for about the last month. And I think Cedric eventually will join the Hurt Business. It makes sense. And I feel like it would actually be good for his character. You could say the same thing about Ricochet, but, you're not going to have a faction with 5, 6, 7 members. I would love to see Ricochet and Cedric Alexander and see Apollo. I would love to see them all in the Hurt Business. Have a strong, faction, all with people of color in it. I would love to see that. And see them just run roughshod over Raw and the rest of WWE. But, hey, it's just terrible. It's terrible that this is what you're doing with Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. Yeah. People claim that they're not buried. They're having fucking arm wrestling matches backstage. And the thing is, MVP said something very good. He said, Cedric, who came into the night as the 24/7 champion, he lost the championship to Akira Tozawa in the Fatal 4-Way tonight. Or it was Shelton Benjamin. Or Shelton Benjamin was the champion. Who cares at the end of the day? Who gives a fuck at the end of the day? All right? But anyway, with the match itself, not the match, the arm wrestling contest, bro. Henry introduced both men, and Lashley threatened to beat Cruz. There's a reason why MVP and Lashley work so well together, because Lashley's not that good on the mic, and he shows that every time he tries to get serious. The guy has no idea what he wants to say, and he gets his words all mixed up. So Lashley threatened to beat the hell out of Cruz. He said he was going to beat Cruz in the arm wrestling contest, and then beat him up so bad that he would not make it to Payback this Sunday. Then Cruz vowed to beat Lashley. That was it. So nothing special there. So Lashley tried to stall, which didn't really make any sense because Lashley's ripped. He should be able to defeat Apollo in the arm wrestling contest easily. But Lashley tried to cheat by putting his foot under the podium, which is, illegal in arm wrestling contests. Who cares in this situation anyway, to be honest? But Cruz beat him to it, and he stepped on Lashley's foot. Lashley, trying to recover from that, wasn't paying attention, and Cruz slammed his arm to the mat. Then we see the rest of the Hurt Business come out. Lashley and Cruz brawl for a little bit. Cruz was able to throw Lashley to the outside. Then he did a flip, taking out MVP and Benjamin at ringside, and then left off the ramp. And that's how the segment ended. Terrible. I don't know what you want me to say. Like I said, you're building towards a United States Championship match in 6 days at Payback, which we'll be covering, of course, on the podcast this weekend. You're building towards an arm wrestling contest with these two men. You're building towards a U.S. title match, which should be good, but you're building towards a U.S. title match with these two men, and you're building it with an arm wrestling contest. If you guys don't understand how out of touch Vince is at this point, just by me saying that, then I don't know what the fuck else to tell you. Vince is so out of touch, it's ridiculous. It is. Speaking of being out of touch, we had Natalya and Lana in the middle of the ring. And they said this was going to be... and Bleacher Report doesn't have the right notes for this. But basically, they were out there to induct Natalya into the Hall of Fame, which didn't make any sense. And they also said, along with Natalya going to the Hall of Fame, they would also be putting in Mickie James. This was not a real Hall of Fame induction ceremony or anything like that. I don't know what's going to happen, because there was rumors saying that he was planning on doing the Hall of Fame during Summerslam weekend, because remember, COVID wrecked everything. But I think right now, based on what I've been hearing, I think the actual Hall of Fame ceremony is going to be taking place at Survivor Series. I think WWE's playing for that Survivor Series weekend, if they can get fans and seeing, depending on how the world looks at that time. But basically, Lana is over here, inducting Natalya into the Hall of Fame. They also decided to induct Mickie James at the same time. And then Natalya said she made a video package celebrating Mickie's career. They go to the Titantron, and it's a black screen. Great. Because Natalya said Mickie had no highlights. Then Mickie comes out, sprints into the ring. She was wearing a nice little outfit. But she comes out. She pushes Natalya, pushes Lana. She hit Lana with the chick kick. And then she exited the ring. So... who the fuck cares? Who the hell cares about Mickie James in 2020? I'm not saying she's not great, but I said this last week. Her time has come and gone. I do not care about Mickie James anymore. This is a new era. This is the era of the Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, Asuka, Bayley, those names. Mickie has no place being on WWE TV. I'm telling you, man, they're probably going to build up Mickie James to become Raw Women's Champion. Watch. When it happens near the end of the year, you guys heard it here first. Because there's really no point in Mickie being back. It makes no sense. Who wants to see it? Not me. Not me. I know most of you guys don't want to see it either. Moving on, we had Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. This match did not last long. Did not last long. Uh, I had like this is Keith Lee's debut match, and yes, they turned into an angle, for Payback this Sunday, and the further the story between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, especially with Keith Lee being friends with McIntyre. But I was like, I would have rather them have waited at least a week. I would have had Keith Lee, had a big debut match against somebody credible. Maybe a Bobby Lashley, maybe a Seth Rollins. I would have had a big match because, like I said, there's not a lot of heels. There's not a lot of top-level heels on Raw. But I would have had Lee had a big match, start off his career, and just show people, especially people that don't watch NXT, what the hell this man is, what he's made of. What makes him limitless. Oh, bask in his glory! For he is limitless. I love saying that. Even though they need to freaking change his theme song back. It's an absolute disgrace that, that Vince thinks it's good to go back to that generic piece of crap, theme song Keith had when he first was in NXT. Go back to the theme song he had recently in NXT. Please. I'm begging you. Guys. Like, everybody tweet Vince McMahon, tweet WWE, tell them to have Keith Lee get his old theme song back. That is absolutely disrespectful, bro. Disrespectful. Like I said, we were able to convince WWE to change the name of the Viking Raiders. We could do the same thing for Keith Lee's theme music. Like, come on. Then, here's the funny thing, guys. I have made no mention of Raw Underground on this show. It's like I said, a couple of weeks, for the first 2 or 3 weeks, it was a big thing. Not that it was exciting or anything, but, Raw Underground, it was this new concept, and you guys have heard me bitch and moan about it. It's just scripted MMA in WWE. It's absolutely terrible. Terrible. But I was willing to give it a chance. Now we're here, I think in week 4? Yeah, I think week 4 of Raw Underground, and I still feel the same. I don't care for it. I have no care for it. It's awful. It's terrible. Still, it doesn't mean anything to me on this show. I've heard rumors that WWE wants to potentially make a Raw Underground championship. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Don't be stupid. Don't be retarded. All right, you have enough titles as is. You have 2 main championships, WWE and Universal titles. You have your 2 mid-card titles, US and IC. That's 4. You have 2 sets of tag titles for Raw and SmackDown. 2 sets of women's titles. You have the 24/7 title. That's already 9 championships. You have the 205 Live title. That's 10, right? I haven't even counted NXT and NXT UK. So that's already 10 championships. Right, you go down the NXT, you have 4 more or 5 titles, because you have the NXT Championship, you have the North American Championship, you have the Tag Team titles, and you have the Women's Championship. Actually, so that's actually 4 titles. So that's 14 titles. So now you have 14 championships, and then you go to NXT UK, and how many more titles do you have? You have I think you have 3 titles? Yeah, I think there's 3 titles in NXT UK. The tag titles, the women's title, and the NXT UK championship. So that's 17 championships, bro. And now you want to add an 8th team? And who knows if I'm missing one? I don't think I am, but now you want to add another one with the Raw Underground Championship? Why? Raw Underground sucks to begin with. Nobody wants to see it. It makes no sense. Imagine having a Raw Underground Championship match on a pay-per-view like SummerSlam or Survivor Series. It's ridiculous. Nobody wants to see that. So scratch that crap. Let me look in the chat real quick. Lord Derpy says, "Did you see all the really terrible things on the Thunderdome screens?" Yeah, I did. I saw the Chris Benoit signs. I saw, some of the racial slurs. And like I said, this is one of the only problems I have with WWE Thunderdome. The fans are being weird, and you have, uh, you know, uh, basically the crowd audio. It's terrible. It's terrible. Here's the thing. Wrestling fans can be some of the creepiest fans in the world. Creepiest fans in the world, man. And like I said, I knew that was going to serve as a distraction, but at the end of the day, there's really nothing you can do about it. There's not much. It's not like you can blatantly see it. You have to really be paying attention because there's a lot of people in those Thunderdome watch parties. So basically, you really have to be paying attention to be able to see what's going on, to be able to notice those small details. Like I said, wrestling fans, are creeps and they're not the best people. But there's really not much we can do there. Not much at all. It is what it is at the end of the day. You gotta let WWE handle that. But getting back to Keith Lee versus Randy Orton, like I said, this should have been a big match for Keith Lee. All right. And, they had Keith Lee first. You already fucked up the theme song. You had him shave his glorious beard. And then now he's wrestling in a zipper vest. I don't know why. But, basically, Lee wasted no time, showing off his raw strength. I wanted them to hit. I was hoping WWE would let Lee show off some of his airborne moves because he's maybe the best flying big man in WWE history. Just watch what he's done in NXT. And he blocked a punch from Orton, delivered an overhead suplex, and he was really, really good, intense, coming out of the gate. But then, of course, Orton reversed it. Him being the apex predator, he got into his stride. Orton worked over Lee and set up for an RKO, but all out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre arrived and started brawling with Randy Orton. Randy Orton would eventually run away, and you could tell Drew did a really good job of selling the effects of the two punt kicks from earlier. So I like that. I liked how he didn't just come up and match be like, "Oh yeah, I'm Superman." Definitely I'm back at full health. I did like how Drew was selling those effects from earlier in the night. So gotta give them credit there. Lord Derpy says there's apparently some footage of someone's throat getting slit. It's all over in my friend's Discord prediction server. I don't know. I didn't see that. Like, I don't know. If you want to send me a link to that on Twitter, because definitely I'll definitely bash that. I'll make sure whoever did that pays, bro. Like, I hope that's just fake footage, but bro, my link, just link it to me in my Twitter down below, and I'll take a look at it. But damn, that's crazy if that's true. But uh, but yeah, Drew did a real good job selling here. I didn't like how Keith Lee didn't get to show us all of his moveset. Like I said, I didn't mind what they did here, but I would have done that maybe a week or two after Lee made his initial debut. Because Keith Lee's debut should have been about him showing off what he can do, having going up against a big name superstar, and then having a really good match. That's what I would have done with Keith Lee. And then maybe a couple weeks down the line, once people have more of a idea of who Keith Lee is, then you could do something like this. But it wasn't all in all bad because the Orton and McIntyre thing was probably the best thing on the show tonight. Backstage, we saw Charlie Caruso interview Drew McIntyre and asked McIntyre how he was feeling and what he was going to do about Orton. McIntyre didn't get to say much. Before he could even get out what he was going to say, Orton attacked him from behind and hit him with a third, and this one looked like the worst. You could hear it. This was the third and most devastating punt kick. This shit was. McIntyre did a great. It looked like McIntyre was legit knocked out. If the first two didn't knock him out, the third one definitely did. And man, oh man, Orton was seething. He was mad and blinded by rage, and McIntyre's just sitting there unconscious. Great storytelling right here. Great storytelling. So we come back from commercial, and then we see that Drew McIntyre is being loaded into an ambulance. And I'm like, okay. So they're showing the effects of the punk kick. And then we see Keith Lee get interviewed by Charlie Caruso. And I like this interview by Keith Lee. Keith Lee said, I wish I could have gone and told Drew McIntyre not to interfere in my debut match. But seeing what Randy Orton did to him, I'm feeling more different emotion at this time. And Randy Orton's gonna have to deal with the Limitless One. So I loved it, loved it. All right, great pro work here from Keith Lee, and it's been announced that at Payback this Sunday, which I am hyped about, we will be getting a full-fledged Keith Lee versus Randy Orton match. So right now we have about 4 matches announced for Payback. There'll probably be 2 more. What I'm thinking, maybe we'll get Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles in an IC title rematch, and I don't know. I don't know, maybe a tag team title match. It could be for Raw. No, it wouldn't make sense for Raw. Andrade and Garza don't deserve a Raw tag team championship match. Maybe we get what's it? Lucha House Party versus Cesaro and Nakamura. Maybe we get something like that. But I am hyped because Keith Lee, give Keith Lee and Randy Orton 20 minutes, bro. They can give you a show-stealing match. They'll probably give you match of the night at Payback, probably. So I am hyped for that. I do think Keith Lee's probably going to lose. I hope not. Maybe they do something like Drew McIntyre returns and he distracts Orton enough for Keith Lee to get the victory. Because clearly this is a little bit of a buffer here. Because per storyline, McIntyre was taken out tonight by those 3 punk kicks, and he's gonna be wanting to come back to get revenge by Orton, and maybe we get Orton and McIntyre at Clash of Champions for the WWE Championship. All right, maybe because we're gonna get the rematch. I'm telling you, Orton's gonna win the title eventually. It's gonna happen. All right, so maybe because I would have complained a little bit more if we got the match at Payback. I was like, no, this match deserves a little more storytelling and like it more aggressive. So I loved what they did with Orton and McIntyre today. I'm hoping Keith Lee doesn't lose on Sunday, but we'll wait and see. But Lee versus Orton should be really good this Sunday. Give them 20 minutes and they'll definitely give you a really great match. So I am excited for that. Look in the chat real quick. Crying Kanye says, I swear if I ever see Vince in real life, I'm going to punt kick that man. Hey, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you all the way. All right, Raw Underground. I wasn't really paying attention during this. I was watching the Lakers blow out the Blazers, but we have to talk about it. We didn't get much from Raw Underground tonight. But we saw Bobby Lashley. He was very angry after the arm wrestling match with Apollo Crews. He laid waste to an unknown competitor. Then he went after Dolph Ziggler and laid waste to him. And basically, we saw Ivar that entered the ring, but we never got the match. So clearly, what looks like we'll probably get that next week. But that was about it with Raw Underground. I don't think Raw Underground made any more appearances on the show. Don't think it did, but. Oh my gosh, man. I hated this. Sasha Banks and oh my gosh, Sasha Banks versus Asuka Raw Women's Championship match, but the stipulation is lumberjacks at ringside. I hated this. I really did. We've seen Sasha versus Asuka 4 times now. 4 times in the last month for the Raw Women's Championship, and all their matches have been good. I think their Extreme Rules match and their match last night at SummerSlam, I feel like those 2 were the best female wrestling matches of the year so far in the entire industry. And don't try to argue with me otherwise. I think the only match that may come close was Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. But if you ask me right now, Sasha versus Asuka last night at SummerSlam was the match of the year. And probably Sasha will probably have a couple more candidates on that list before the end of the year is all over. And if you guys missed my rant of the century last night about Sasha Banks, it was like 30 to 40 minutes long. Go check out the SummerSlam review. Starts around the 45-minute mark. Cheap little plug right there. But I hated this because you knew Sasha was not winning the championship. I was still already heated that you took the title off of Sasha not even 30 days after she lost the title. And the fact is, Sasha now 5-time Raw Women's Champion, no successful title defenses. So I was already seething with anger. Seething with anger. All right. And I was not happy. I was not happy because I knew Sasha was not going to win. The only reason why I gave it a chance was because I wanted to see if there was going to tease any more tension between Sasha Banks and Bayley, and they kind of did, but it wasn't enough for me to be happy at the end of the day. You did the job last night with SummerSlam. For Sasha being unhappy that Bayley didn't help her like Sasha has helped Bayley retain earlier in the night against the same opponent. And I thought here we were going to see more of that. Bayley once again attempting to help Sasha, but it not working. Sasha getting more and more frustrated, especially now that she's only one champion, one belt champion once again, and Bayley's still Bayley Doe straps. And you had all the women of the Raw brand surrounding the square circle, and Sasha. I love the pyro, but the match was anything special. It was a good match. It's Sasha and Asuka. They can't put on a bad match for their lives, but this was nowhere near the match they had the night after the Royal Rumble in 2018, or no 2019. No, 2018. My bad. I'm getting my years wrong. But yeah, this was nowhere close to the match they had the night after Royal Rumble 2018. This was nowhere close to the match they had last month at Extreme Rules. Nowhere close to the match they had at SummerSlam. And I kind of got the vibe, even though the match was good, it wasn't anything special. Like, Sasha and Asuka can't have a bad match. Their chemistry is just that great. But I was kind of getting the vibe that Sasha and Asuka just didn't give a shit. They just didn't give a shit. They already given their all against each other this last month, especially with what they did at SummerSlam. I was just sitting here thinking like, and the vibes that Sasha was giving, it's just like I don't really care about this right now. I know I'm not winning. They're just giving this match because they have nothing better to put on the show. But you had the woman of the Raw brand surrounding the square circle. We saw Sasha got knocked down to the ring. Then Ruby Riott was, looking over at Sasha, kind of looking down at her. Sasha got pissed. I love this, actually. And then Sasha pushed Ruby into the barricade, like, get the fuck off me, bitch. All right, then you saw the heels and the baby faces. I hate lumberjack matches. All right, you had the heels and the baby faces staring off against each other. So then we get into the match itself. Coming back from break, Sasha had the advantage, and Bayley got a cheap shot in. Back inside, Asuka caught Sasha with a beautiful super kick, then delivered a jumping DDT off the middle rope. Wasn't as good as the DDT she did last night from the top rope, but still it looked pretty good. Sasha then escaped an ankle lock, sending Asuka to the floor. She looked to follow up with another move, but then wiped off the Riot Squad with a Meteora that looked beautiful. Asuka then stalked Bayley, who threw the lumberjack in her path. So they put like Peyton Royce, Zelina Vega, Billy Kay, and Asuka took them all out on her path of trying to get to Bayley. I think Lana and Natalya got thrown in the way as well, which was hilarious. So then back into the ring, Sasha delivered a beautiful frog splash. Like I said, Sasha's the best frog splash in the women's division. Easily. The only person in the company that I believe has a better frog splash than Sasha is maybe Seth Rollins and Montez Ford. From the heavens. All right. Then Bayley tried to introduce a steel chair, but Shayna Baszler cut her off. And then Asuka put Sasha into the ankle or the Asuka lock, and they had Sasha tap out for a second straight night. Terrible. The match was good. It wasn't anything special, but the ending was terrible. So what the fuck was the point? Really, what was the point of having Sasha tap out 2 nights in a row? I understand you're trying to, you're building conflict, building tension between Sasha Banks and Bayley, but really, you couldn't have waited to do this at Payback? You couldn't wait till Payback to build more tension between the group? Did you really have to give Sasha a rematch that we all knew she was not winning? Did you really have Sasha look like a loser 2 nights in a row, tapping out clean to Asuka? I'm just telling you, man. When Sasha wins that title, when Sasha wins that title, the SmackDown Women's Championship, when she takes that title from Bayley, what needs to happen is Sasha needs to go on a run where she gets payback on everybody that beat her. Because Sasha, I'm tired of seeing Sasha put people over. She needs to be Asuka, she needs to be Charlotte, she needs to be Bayley, Becky, Alexa, everybody that's done wrong. All the matches that Sasha should have won, that she lost to put other people over. It's absolutely ridiculous. There was no fucking reason. No reason why Sasha should have tapped out. The match should have never happened to begin with. I understood at SummerSlam, as much as I hated it, as much as I hated seeing Sasha lose another title before 30 days, losing another title in her first title defense. As much as I hated that, and I ranted on that last night, I understood it. As much as I couldn't stand the way WWE went about it. But instead, you go and do the same shit the next night in a row? Garbage. Garbage. Doesn't make Sasha look any better. It doesn't. So now this Sunday we have Payback. And we know Sasha and Bayley are going to be going up against Shayna and Nia. And I'm not hyped for the match at all. I'm not. You know, it may be decent, but you have fucking Nia Jax in there. Right? Sasha and Bayley should retain. The only way, if Sasha and Bayley lose, it's going to be because of Bayley. Bayley's going to get pinned by either Shayna or Nia. Because Sasha's not going to get pinned. Because we already have the narrative here that Sasha wins all the tag team title victories for her team. So, clearly, and you know Sasha's going to be pissed off at Shayna because Shayna got involved in the match tonight. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Sunday. Will we see the big split between Sasha and Bayley? All right. Are they going to wait a little bit longer? I don't know how much longer they can really wait. But is Sunday going to be the big night? Will we see the big split everyone's been waiting for between Sasha Banks and Bayley? Will they lose the tag titles? Will Sasha turn babyface? Will her frustration with Bayley reach its boiling point? It's going to be very interesting. And I am very excited to see what happens. I'm not excited for the match because you have fucking Nia Jax in there. I wish it was the Riot Squad with Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, but at the end of the day, I'm only excited because it's Sasha Banks, and you know we're gonna see will Sasha's anger and frustration with Bayley reach the boiling point where Sasha finally turns on Bayley. It's gonna be interesting. It's going to be interesting. All right. And there you go. I didn't give you guys the rant like I did last night. I tried to stay professional about it. Tried to give you guys a professional and objective look on it. All right. But moving into the main event, not going to spend too much time on this. Rey Mysterio and Dominic versus Seth Rollins and Murphy. Dominic's first match ever on Monday Night Raw. This was also big because this was also Dominic's first time teaming with his father. And this was really the sole reason why Rey Mysterio signed back with WWE, so he could be there with his son. I still hate how Dominic is wrestling with the freaking hoodie on, bro. But it's whatever at the end of the day. But the match wasn't anything special. We went back to Raw Underground before that, and we saw Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business dominance as, you know, Lashley got TKOs over Cedric Alexander and Ivar. Then we got to the match, the tag team match in the main event. You know, we saw Dominic get attacked by Rollins and Murphy before the bell, and then the bell rang, and Dominic took the fight. Dominic's looking better. You know, he's looking better. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how his style evolves as he gets more in-ring experience. I'm going to keep saying it. Dominic, eat a fucking steak, bro. Get some protein in your body. But Dominic took over the fight early here. Then, what happened after then? Then we saw Mysterio take out Rollins at ringside, and then they had a nice little 2-on-1 assault. Then we saw Murphy rescue Rollins from further attack, but Dominic had a very good dive from the top rope, and then we went into break. Then we come back from commercial. Seth and Murphy had the advantage. They isolated Rey from his son, but then a hot tag to Dominic made the babyface comeback. So then we saw Rollins get distracted, and, you know, Rollins made a distraction that let Murphy clip the knee of Dominic, and then Rollins delivered the Bucker Bomb. Dominic escaped and tagged Ray into the match, and a blind tag to Murphy nearly cost the babyfaces the match, but Ray did a double 619. Looks beautiful. I will never forget the double 619 that Ray and Dominic did on Brock Lesnar. That was great. All right, but then right as they were going for the pin, the lights flickered, and you guys know what the lights flickered. It's not Undisputed Era, even though I do believe Undisputed Era will most likely be making their debut. Uh, their demotion to the main roster. I think we're going to see the Undisputed Era on SmackDown this week. Definitely. Hopefully, we need to see the Undisputed Era on SmackDown this week. Like, come on, make some common sense. But the lights flickered, and we saw Retribution. So excited. So excited, man. Every week it's a change with they have new members, they have, different people in the group. It doesn't make any sense. So basically we saw Retribution appear. Ray was on the outside. Excuse me. Retribution, they were surrounding Dominic around the ring. Ray got back into the ring and tried to help his son get out of harm's way, but Retribution attacked, and they got a huge beating by the hands of these mass invaders. Rollins and Murphy watched from the top of the entrance ramp. I'm willing to bet you can have Rollins come out next week and say, I am the leader of Retribution, man. Some nonsense like that. But we saw, and what looked kind of brutal, we saw two of the members of Retribution send Ray face first into the ring post, and then they laid him right on top of his son at ringside. And then we saw Retribution standing tall on the ring apron to close the show. And it looked like the members of Retribution, they were struggling to keep their damn masks on. And I don't know, those shits were itchy, but I saw multiple members. It looks like multiple members of Retribution, they were struggling with their masks, which I don't know what the deal was there, but it was noticeable. But one thing here, Rollins and Murphy, they're the heels. They're the heels. It's like the same thing with Sasha and Bailey. We're getting close to the end here with the Sasha and Bailey storyline. The breakup is going to be happening here sometime in the next couple months, unless they're able to delay it till WrestleMania. Which I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that at this point. I just don't know at all. But the breakup, or not the breakup, the payback, because look at Sasha and Bailey, right? They dominated most of the summer. Won the tag team titles, won singles titles, 2 belts banks, Bailey those straps. But that's coming to an end. We're already seeing their momentum being slowed down as we head towards the breakup. They're the heels. Remember, at the end of the day, the baby faces have to be able to get over on some point. And you saw Sasha crying, those tears coming out of Sasha's eyes at the end of the show tonight, right? Eventually we need to be seeing that with Rollins and Murphy. The heels can't get over every single week like they have been. Eventually they have to get what's coming to them. Mysterio and Dominic have to get over on the babyface at some point. I don't know when. I don't know where they go from here, because there's really nothing else they can do. We've seen Ray versus Seth. We've seen Dominic versus Seth. We've seen the tag team match tonight. I just don't know where they go from here. I don't. I don't think we'll see a match at Payback, but honestly, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But at some point, the babyfaces have to go over, for real. And I don't know if you can sell me on another pay-per-view match. All right, but anyway, Retribution. You had to have them on the show tonight just to keep the faction at the forefront for people to remember who they are, because they weren't on SummerSlam last week. I don't even think they were. I don't even remember they were on SmackDown on Friday. So the beatdown was whatever. But like I said, if you eventually have to give us some kind of direction here with Retribution, like we need to know what's their end game here. What's their plan? You can't keep doing these attacks every single week and then have no explanation of why this is happening. It's nonsense. It really is nonsense, man. Like, we have no idea who the members of Retribution are. We have no idea what they want. You can't keep having them attack, and them having no point. No purpose. Nexus, they had a purpose. They actually came out and explained why they did what they did. When are we gonna get that with Retribution? Like, come on. You can't keep just doing attack, attack, attack every single week and not have them explain why they're here and what's their end game. It's nonsense. Stop insulting our intelligence with that crap. But anyway, that's enough of me rambling, bro. We've already gone close to an hour and a half. We went 2 hours on the SummerSlam review last night. But other than that, guys, Raw was awful tonight. The only good thing really was the Randy Orton versus the Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Keith Lee situation. That was about it. Like, I'm not like the Sasha Banks and Asuka situation wasn't good. The match was good, but I'm unhappy about the result. Like, I love Sasha Banks. I think she's the best female wrestler in the world, but I'm unhappy with what I saw tonight. Seeing Sasha tap out for a second night in a row? No. Sorry, no. It was a good match, but the ending was terrible. The match should never happen to begin with. So, sorry. The only good thing on this show was Orton versus McIntyre. And it's disappointing because last night was a great night for WWE. SummerSlam was great. It was a great pay-per-view. And then they follow up to the next night with this garbage. With an absolute terrible show. They go right back to the same nonsense, the same bullshit they do every single week. But hey, man, I'll continue to educate you guys every single week. I'll continue to put myself through the misery of watching this show just to entertain you guys and educate you guys on what WWE needs to do to get better. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Remember, it's gonna be a crazy week. I got a lot of other videos, anime, sports, gaming, a lot of other videos coming out this week. So go check out some of my other content if you guys want some of that. We have Payback this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to do a Payback preview and prediction show. Maybe Sunday morning. I just don't know. Just make sure you keep up with me during the week, and I'll let you guys know what's going on. Follow me on Twitter. That's the quickest way to get in contact with me if you guys want to talk about anything from wrestling to anime, any of that good stuff. But this weekend we will be covering Payback. We will have a review. I don't know if I'm going to do a live stream. But definitely Payback review whenever the show goes off the air this Sunday night. So definitely make sure you guys are back here for that. If you guys haven't checked out the SummerSlam review that is live on the channel, go check out my rant of the year talking about Sasha Banks versus Asuka and what happened last night, depending on when you guys are listening to the podcast. Go check out the NXT TakeOver 30 review, Karrion Kross, the new NXT champion. I give my thoughts on that and where they need to go with him. But other than that, guys, thank you guys for joining me on the podcast here tonight. Make sure you guys leave a like before you guys leave if you guys haven't already. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Enable notifications by clicking the bell right next to my name, Fitzbunk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you guys later. Make sure to stay safe and healthy, guys. Thank you guys for all the love and support throughout this crazy week, crazy weekend. I am really tired, so I'm going to go get some rest. Thank you guys for everything once again. Make sure to stay safe and healthy, guys.